are there ways in which the predictive processing framework, because sometimes I think that it kind of makes us seem a bit like we're robots, like we're these people that, you know, automatically we just fit efficiently to our environment.
First thing I want to say is, yeah, other people think it's weird, so you're not, you're not alone there. But I think it's probably, I think people are, I think it's easy to criticize it, and people are getting some social credit for criticizing it in a sort of unreasonable way. If it is a unifying framework, then you would expect it to apply everywhere that cognition is applicable. That shouldn't be surprising. If this is a unifying idea about what the cognitive system is doing, then it should be applicable everywhere that we're talking about cognitive dynamics. It shouldn't be like, oh my goodness, look, it works there too. You're like, yeah, we're talking about a minded thing engaging with its niche. That's exactly, of course, it should always fit there.
Right.
And then just add to that we're now building AI using the same principles. So it's the natural shared currency for thinking about minded things and AI things, for thinking about deep learning algorithms, deep learning predictive algorithms, and minded agents, or even life forms. If you think that life forms are organizing in this way, also like the way they achieve optimization is the same way. Then it is literally the shared currency. So not only is it not weird, but anything else would be weird, I think, as a framework, because you have one model that is useful for thinking about the minded thing and the deep learning algorithm. And so of course it's the one you'd grab for thinking about how they work together. I know your worry. I get your worry, but I'm not worried. But I'm also, I've drank the Kool-Aid in a meaningful way. But I'm not stuck there either. I'm not stuck in this local minima. This is the next step on the scientific path. It's going to be refined and tuned and probably toppled in time by the thing which is yet again more optimal and more fit to real world dynamics. But this is where we're at, and I think that's okay.
Yeah, I think I would say kind of universality and the elegance of it in having this universal kind of currency is very interesting. It kind of prompts me neither to be too like overly enthusiastic or skeptical about it. I think it's, like Mark said, it's probably what we might expect from a theory of brain function. I kind of watch with interest the empirical story unfold with it. I'm very interested in looking at some of the experimental work, and kind of very interested in work by people like Anil Seth, again, here at Sussex, like neuroscientists that are working on consciousness that use these frameworks as well from an experimental kind of perspective. But there are people who have been skeptical the other way, that it's, how is it that it can do so much with so few primitives? So you have prediction and prediction error, and then it's supposed to explain everything.
I like Julian. Julian says everything under the umbrella of human intelligence can be written on a T-shirt. I love that. Actually, in my classes, my students who get an A or over, they get a shirt with it on it. They get the equation underlying all of human intelligence on their T-shirt.
I never got a T-shirt.
Hey, I'll get you one.
You
got an A, so you're.
One example of this, for example, is there's some really cool work in philosophy by Colin Klein, who wrote a paper kind of very skeptical that asking whether predictive processing can do the work that folk psychology kind of needs it to. So folk psychology is just the kind of set of concepts and explanations that we use every day to explain people's behavior. So you have this kind of belief, desire, intention kind of schema to explain why people do the things that they do. And the argument in Klein is that it's kind of difficult to see how you can give those kinds of explanations using just prediction and prediction error. And then you have as well the famous dark room problem. I don't know if everybody would be familiar with this, or it's worth explaining, or but it's essentially it's the idea of if all you do is kind of if all you're trying to do is minimize prediction error, why do anything at all, because surely the most efficient way to kind of confirm all my expectations is to just curl up in a ball under my bed and kind of hook myself up to an IV maybe and just live in the dark. So like, why are we curious? Why do we do things like rock climbing or cage fighting or any danger? Like, why do we do anything? And so like the challenge there is to explain this kind of cluster of things like play, which Mark's done work on curiosity, risk taking, exploration. And I think it's really kind of nice and reassuring to see that predictive processing can explain those things. And a lot of the work done there is kind of quite, illuminating and like resourceful as well, like the way that you can actually build quite complex accounts of pretty much anything, all of the phenomena that we're interested in using those primitives.
Yeah, and Mark and I kind of tackled the darkroom problem on our previous podcast. Okay. So shameless plug. Go watch that if you're concerned about that problem now too, as I was when Mark brought it up, and I was like, no, how do we solve this problem? Okay,
it's like my whole career has been against the darkroom. I mean, I'm just thinking like every paper I've written has been like, this is an oversimplification. This is how it works to make it more complex.